Here we go with the fifth training principle video. And this video is called the Training Principles Overload video. Now, before I begin the video, I'm going to tell you a story that is going to kind of help set the context for which we are going to be discussing today. And this is a Greek philosophy story about Milo of Croton. So Milo was an ancient Greek Olympian. He won 6 gold medals in the wrestling Olympics. Legend has it that at a young age, Milo began his strength journey by lifting a small calf, which is a baby cow, putting it on his shoulders and carrying it around with him every day. As the calf grew over the years, so did Milo's strength. He continued to carry the animal until one day he was carrying a full-grown bull. So the reason why I told you this story is because it is relevant to today's topic of training overload. And what training overload is it's the idea that training must be hard enough to create a bodily adaptation. So training must get progressively harder over time by lifting more than your muscles are used to lifting or doing. So in the example with the Milo, as the calf grew, the calf was his resistance, and that was the stress on his body. So as the calf kept growing, his body had to adapt to the increased weight of the calf as it grew. And then as it continued to grow into a full-on bull, so did Milo's strength. Just a quick side note here, this is an old ancient Greek story. I don't think that if you actually go start picking up a baby calf and walking it around that you're going to be able to lift a full-grown bull as you get older. Maybe it could happen, but bulls are pretty heavy. They're like 1,500 pounds. So just get the idea of the story that as the calf started to grow, that so too did Milo's strength for him. So why is overload important to use? So overload is important to use because your training must get progressively more difficult in order to keep making progress. By making training harder will allow for continued progress in the gym. So how you can make training more difficult could be things like we talked about in the progression video, where you would increase the weight of the exercises that you're doing, or maybe you increase the sets or reps, or just finding other different ways to kind of challenge your body to help you progress. What are the positive benefits of using overload? So if you use overload correctly, you will likely have greater increases in performance in a weight room. So this could come in the forms of increased muscular size, increased muscular strength, increased muscular endurance, and increased muscular power. What are the consequences of using too much overload in your training? And the consequences of too much overload are likely going to result in overtraining, like we discussed in previous videos, and also increased risk of injury if weights are too heavy for people to be using comfortably and with the right form. What are the negative consequences of not using overload? So if you do not use overload and the loads are not increased, there will be little improvement and you will eventually hit a plateau where your body doesn't seem to get any stronger or build any more muscle mass. So going back to the story of Milo, if he just kept carrying the calf, but the calf never grew, it just stayed the same size, Milo's strength would not increase because the weight of the calf doesn't place stress on Milo's body to adapt. So he would only adapt as far as the stress on his body. So if the calf would just stay the same size, then his strength would only get to a certain point and then just stay there, and then after a while maybe even start to decrease if he's not challenging his body enough. Now we have to understand what is the SRA curve and how to describe the cycle. So the SRA curve is kind of like a scientific way of explaining what happens to your body when you weight train and then how it then adapts to what you're doing and recovers and makes progress. So the first letter of the SRA curve is for stimulus, and stimulus is overloading and stressing the body. So what this would look like is your muscles are being taxed or worked to the point that they must grow bigger and stronger in order to continue lifting that weight. The next letter is the letter R for recovery. And recovery is basically just making sure that after a heavy workout or a hard workout that you're sleeping and recuperating from that training session. During recovery, while you're sleeping, is where your muscles will actually grow to become bigger and stronger. Adaptation is for the letter A, And what that is when your muscles have increased in the size or the strength, and now they are able to adapt to the weights that initially caused them the stress from before. And so the cycle goes as follows. You work out and you stress your body, and this is a stimulus. You go home and then you rest and recover, and your muscles rebuild for the following day, which is your recovery. And then the adaptation is when your muscles have recovered from the previous workout and now they are ready and able to lift the previous weight or do whatever the previous workout was. Our bodies respond to these stresses in the workouts by making adaptations. So the body is kind of just like, whoa, that was really tough. I need to increase my muscular size so that I'm able to be stronger to do that again. And it follows the same kind of curve, which I'm going to show you on a pen and paper right now. All right, so this is the SRA curve. And just so that this makes sense, let's just say that you're doing a workout program, and in the program you have to do 4 workouts 4 times a week. That means that you're going to do workout 1. Let's just say workout 1 is where you do squats. That means that workout 1 you're going to end up doing 4 times total over the course of this one program. So for this particular video, I want you to just think that you are doing a workout that has some heavy squats involved. And this is going to be your first workout, your second workout, your third workout, and your fourth workout. All right? So how the cycle goes is like this. I'm going to use this red marker to kind of give a demonstration of how the curve works. So workout 1, you do your squats, and this first line up is the stress. So that workout was kind of stressful on your body because you're not used to it. And then you go home, you sleep, you recover, and this down bit of the curve, that's the recovery. And then after you slept and recovered, then it starts, then your adaptation begins, and then this line starts to go up. Okay? So that is the stress, the recovery, and the adaptation. So then the next time you're doing that workout, which is going to be the next following week, then it's going to begin over again. The only difference is that this time you're going to increase the weight a bit, or maybe you increase the repetitions or the sets. Whatever way you do it, you're making the workout progressively harder from the first week. So you begin, and maybe you just increase the weight by 5 pounds. So you do the same squat workout, but it's just a bit heavier. You stress your body about the same amount, and then you start to recover. And then when you are finished recovering, your body starts to adapt. Right? And then for the third workout, maybe you go up another 5 pounds, so you're going up 10 pounds total. And same thing, it stresses your body, and then you start to have the recovery and then your adaptation here. And then for the last workout, you have now stressed your body, and you're recovering, and you have your adaptation over here. So, as you can see, it's the exact same workout. It's just getting progressively harder from each week, going up in 5-pound increments every week. And as you can see here, so by the time you get to the fourth workout, your SRA curve is quite a bit higher than it was in the first, meaning that if after week 4 you were to do workout 1, that would be it would feel kind of easy to you because you've already been putting your body under stress and adapting to new loads. So it is making it, so your body, this particular workout would be a lot less difficult for you to do now after you've already completed your fourth workout in the SRA curve. So this is how strength and muscle is built. So as you stress your body, you recover, and then you adapt. And as long as you're trying to continually make the training just a little bit harder by either increasing the weights, the sets, the repetitions, or any of those other things that we described in the progression video, then you should theoretically be able to get to a point where when you get to the fourth workout, that whatever you started at will feel really, really easy to you. And the last question that we have is, how can you incorporate the principle of overload into the weight room while you're lifting weights? And the easiest way to incorporate overload is to track the weights that you're using when you're working out and then increase them gradually over time. So this could be as little as 5 pounds per workout that you do. So if you do one workout on 1 week and then the following week, you're going to try and go up 5 pounds. That's a good way of using overload. Maybe depending on the lift, maybe even 10 pounds, but just making sure that you're doing a gradual increase and a progressive increase. Another way that you can incorporate overload can be by increasing the frequency of how many times per week you're training. You can increase the duration. You can change the type of workout that you're doing. So this has to do with another video altogether, but basically after a while, your muscles, like you can only train your muscles to get stronger for so long until your muscles, they're as strong as they can get, but for them to continue getting stronger, now they have to get bigger. So you can only get so strong to a point where then you now have to then focus on increasing muscle size, so that when you have larger muscle size, that they are able to then handle more load and become stronger. So changing the type of workout, what you're doing, so like the type of training goal you're doing, is another way to use the progressive or principle of overload. Another one that's really important that a lot of people neglect is making sure that you're recovering well by getting enough sleep at night. So a lot of people will work out really hard, and then if they're not sleeping well at night, like they're up till they're only getting 3-5 hours of sleep a night, that's not enough time for your body to recover from the previous workouts, and it's not going to help you progress as well. So it's something that I wish I knew and practiced a lot more when I was younger, because I definitely did not sleep as well as I should have when I was training 4 or 5 times a week. And now that I do prioritize my recovery and my sleep, I'm noticing that I am getting a lot more stronger, and I'm seeing more muscle mass now compared to when I would have back when I was not prioritizing my recovery. And then the last thing I could say is pick a program that has easy and hard workouts. So although this whole video was on overload and stressing your body and trying to overload it that way, there are times where easy workouts are okay to have too. Like you can't redline your body all the time doing the most difficult workouts possible 5 days a week, for a year at a time. After a while, your body's just not going to be able to handle that kind of stress. And if you're not recovering well either, then that's going to make it even worse. But it's not a bad idea to have some kind of harder days and easier days. So that's another way that you can help with your overload, is like you can make sure that you are really overloading your body, maybe 2 workouts out of the 4 per week, and then the other 2 are a little easier on your body. That way, you're less likely to fall into overtraining, but then you're still also overloading your body enough to have the changes in your body that you're trying to achieve.